Hello and welcome to the Business of Happiness podcast for women dentists. Hi, I'm Dr. Tarryn McCarthy, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. Today is going to be such a great day. You know, you went into dentistry for the autonomy. You chose dentistry because of the financial stability and the freedom of time, the freedom of choice over how you spend your life, the work-life balance, the opportunity to do great things in this world, have a stable, beautiful, service-filled profession, and live your life on your own terms. So why does it not feel that way? Today, that is exactly what we're going to explore. Of the hundreds of women dentists that I speak to on a weekly basis, this is the biggest concern they all have. Their financial stability and how they feel like their choices are limited because of finances, whether it's the incredible student loan debt that they're living under or the incredible practice purchase loan debt that they're living under. And they feel like it's literally limiting what they can do in their lives. And here's this incredible dream that they've had, and they're finally there. And maybe this sounds like your story where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm finally there. I did everything I set out to do. I accomplished everything I said I was going to do. I worked so hard in dental school. I sacrificed my 20s. I sacrificed happiness and time and wedding opportunities and going to family events. And I really poured myself into this profession. And now I feel like I have painted myself into a corner financially and in terms of my time. My time is not my own. And that's another thing I hear constantly is I'm always working and I feel guilty to take time off, or I don't have the ability to take a time off. Or if I stopped seeing patients at this rate, will my practice fall apart? If I said no to working a certain number of days a week, will I stop seeing new patients come to my office? Will everything crumble? And so I feel like I'm painted into a corner, like I've built a treadmill that I cannot get off of because it feeds and fuels itself financially, and I can't imagine anything else doing so. I remember I felt so much the same way at one point in my life where I felt like I woke up one day and I was like, oh my God, did I choose this? I had no idea. And that's what I hear from a lot of women as well. The shock. Oh my God, I had no idea I'd have these bills every month and that I wouldn't be able to choose whether or not I worked. I thought I'd have freedom. Had no idea that I'd have this weight, this responsibility on my head, that I'd chosen this responsibility and that it's so expensive, and not just in time, in money, I mean, but in time to uphold it, that it requires so much of my effort. And the other thing I hear is, I don't know if my body can continue to do this. I don't know if I have a 40-year dental career in me because I am exhausted from keeping up with this pace. Now, I just want to hold a moment of recognition and validation if this is you, because you are not alone. This is what a majority of women dentists feel. And if you're listening to this, you're like, yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like everything is dictated by my practice. Like don't get to choose to go to the mommy and me breakfast or to volunteer at my kid's school because I have this responsibility to my patients and my practice and my bank account. I don't get to choose to go and hike the Appalachian Trail for 3 months with my 16-year-old because I have this responsibility of my practice. I don't get to choose a sabbatical. I don't get to choose to go on a missionary retreat to, Guatemala because I got to be here for my practice and my patients and the responsibility I have to my team. So I just want to honor you for a moment if that's how you feel, because it is very scary when you realize I chose this. And sometimes we feel like we didn't even choose it. Sometimes we feel like my parents chose this for me or my guidance counselor chose this for me. I was just directed in this direction because I was good at math and science, and people saw a lot of potential in me, so I thought this is what I had to do. And I put one foot in front of the other, and the next thing I have $500,000 of debt that has to be paid off, and it feels like this is the only way. I just want to hold space for you for a moment. I hear you. I hear you and I see you. And I know how hard this feels. And just for a moment, I want to offer you hope, because it doesn't have to be this way. Here's the truth. This profession of dentistry does hold so much potential for autonomy, for your autonomy, for your power to choose how you live your life. Even with the amount of debt that you're saddled with, even with the responsibilities you've already taken on, even with the practice hours you've already established, I am telling you there is hope, and you have the power to change. Please hear me. This is not just my story. It is every single one of the clients that I work with story. Starting out from that place of feeling completely trapped. And I hear all the time, Tarryn, but I'm different. Here's my situation. But this is unique. Here's my situation. And every single one of them has found a way to step back into owning her own life and to finding the freedom to choose. Today, I just want to talk about 3 extremely critical components in terms of making that transformational shift. 3 strengths that you can lean on. And the 3 components of dentistry that I think make dentists so unique from other people, and why this feels so big and overwhelming, and how you can shift it. And those 3 components are, number 1, I want to tell you that you are so much more powerful than you give yourself credit for. Right there. Right there. You are so much more powerful than you give yourself credit for. You get to ask for what you want. And I mean that in every component of your life. If you're working for another dentist, you get to ask for what you want. If you're working for yourself, if you are the CEO and the dentist of your own practice, you, the you part, gets to ask the CEO for what she wants, just like somebody who worked for her would, just like an employee. And you never have to let go of your dreams. They are always possible. See, that was really interesting, especially for my practice owners who are listening. Of all people, we went into entrepreneurship for the autonomy. And dentistry is one of the most stable professions out there that banks are so willing to lend money to. Now, I know that's a double-edged sword, but compared to things like restaurants or yoga studios, banks are willing to just dole out money to dentists. Why? Because it is so dependable, because it is so lucrative. So the autonomy that you have is absolutely incredible. And the mindset is your only need to shift. If you own your practice, you get to say anything you want. You get to change any protocol or procedure or practice in your entire practice. You get to open at noon and close at 3. You get to work 2 days a month. You get to choose. It is all possible. And I think the thing that holds us back is we tell ourselves, I can't. The economy won't let me. My bank account won't let me. My patients won't let me. My community won't let me. My team won't like it. And in every single one of those scenarios, please notice what I'm doing. I am giving my power away to somebody or some people else. I am giving away my ability to choose my autonomy to someone else. You know, here's a great example. When I bought my first practice, I bought a practice that was existing. And it was, at the time, a home office. So not only was I buying the practice, but I also bought the house. And this was on the heels of me graduating from residency. And I was in $500,000 of debt. And my husband was still in residency. In fact, we were paying for his medical school, his Harvard medical school tuition. And here I was with this enormous debt and looking to purchase a practice and a house. And the person who was selling the practice and the house, because he owned both, the orthodontist, he decided how much it was worth. He decided how much he wanted for the house. And I thought I had no choice. Went to the bank. I told them the offer. They said, well, it's a really great deal, but we won't give you that much. We don't think it's worth that much. And they said, no, we'll only give you this much of the asking price. And the orthodontist who was selling the practice said, don't worry, I will give you a loan personally for the rest of it. And I told myself, Tarryn, you don't have a choice. This is what you have to do. And right there, I gave my power away. Looking back on it now, what a gift I was to him. Here was a buyer who was willing to buy his practice and his house. I was sitting in the driver's seat. I had all the power to ask for what I needed. And if I didn't get it, all I needed to do was walk away. And I was no worse off. We forget the amount of power that we have. You, as a dentist, have so much power. You have earned the right to be called doctor. You have invested in it. And in that title alone, you have so much power over your choices of where you go and where you work. You get to choose. And so often we tell ourselves that there's an urgency, that we have to make a decision now, or that this is the only opportunity, or that there's going to be nobody else, or if we don't jump on it now, someone will take it. And all of those stories are fictitious. You never have to settle. And this, by the way, is the power of mindset. And if you can harness the power of mindset, you have everything at your disposal. The world opens up to you with enormous possibilities. I'm going to share with you this story of the elephant. And this is a true story. It was an elephant who was raised in a circus in India. And as a youngster, he was like a little sweetheart running around all over the place trying to, explore. But he was getting into trouble as he got older. So they started chaining him. So they put some kind of a shackle around one paw and hammered a post into the ground. And so he's shackled by one paw to a post with a chain. And he could only get so far. And this little guy couldn't get away. So this chain was holding him and he was so eager. He kept trying. But every time he was chained to this post, he was stuck. He could only stay within this really small area and really couldn't get to all the fun places when he was younger that he used to explore. And it was so frustrating at first. And he would cry and he would pull and he would tug. I know this breaks my heart telling the story, but he kept trying and he just couldn't. He wasn't strong enough to pull that post out of the ground. And so over time, he got trained that, this is when that post was in the ground, he was not going anywhere. When they let him loose off of it, then he could explore. But when that post was hammered into the ground and the shackle was shackled to his ankle, that was it. That was the only little area that he could stay in for the day. And so he learned not to try. And he learned, this is where I stay. And the most incredible thing about this elephant is he grew up to be an enormous, strong, very powerful elephant. And he never gave himself the opportunity to try to pull that post out of the ground. There is no question that his strength, once he was a grown elephant, could have just pulled that little post out of the ground in a heartbeat. But what we're talking about is learned helplessness. He had been telling himself for so long that he couldn't leave that enclosure because of this stake in the ground that he didn't even try. And we do the same thing to ourselves. We tell ourselves these stories. I have a really interesting client who I started working with who said to me, you know what? I really have to just sell this practice to a DSO. I don't have a choice because I can't find a buyer because no one will come out to this part of the country to buy my practice. And that was a story she had told herself. So she stopped trying. She stopped reaching out. And she just resolved to the fact that she would have to sell her practice to a DSO if she ever wanted to sell her practice, because she thought there's no young orthodontists that want to live in this part of the country. And wouldn't you know, simultaneously, I met with an orthodontist who said to me, who had just graduated, she said, it's so frustrating. Nobody wants to sell their practices. The only choice I have is to go work for a DSO. And how interesting that they both were looking for one another, but their stories were preventing them from finding one another. This learned helplessness is what we create for ourselves in our own minds. And I'm here to tell you, you are sitting in the driver's seat of your own life. You have such a wealth of opportunity underneath you. You made a great choice. The only thing standing in your way is the stories in your own mind. That's number one. Number two, what sets us apart from most people is we work so damn hard. And it's such a strength. It's such a brilliant strength. You are the hardest working person in the room. It got you so far. You got you where you are today, which is incredible. You overcame so much. You persevered through so much. And it's also your greatest Achilles heel. Why? Because your body is running the show. When you work so hard for so long, your chronic stress becomes your norm, and you're not even aware of it. You are living in a chronic state of fight or flight, and all your decisions and all that mindset I was talking about is coming from a place of being in fight or flight. And that is no place to be making creative or empowered decisions. The key is recognizing you need to slow down, to learn how to embody calm, how to embody presence, how to embody the power you have. And it starts with your body. I said that word 3 times on purpose, embody, because it's not just about our minds. And this is not something we can over-intellectualize. This is not something we can muscle through. This is about teaching you a new way of finding how to calm your body, and I mean on a daily basis, so that your decision-making is made from a place of calm clarity and not reactivity from a place of fear or stress or overwhelm. And now I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. We've all made decisions from that place, a rash, knee-jerk reaction. And it's always that decision we regret or wish we could take back, or that came out a little messy, or we said something we didn't mean to say, we chose to do something we didn't mean to choose. That, going back to that practice purchase example that I had shared with you earlier, I felt stress. I felt the pressure. I had bills to pay. I had a family to feed. My husband was in residency. I thought, this is it. I got to make this decision. I've already looked at 5 offices. None of them were good fits. Tarryn, we don't have any more time to play here. Say yes, take on that extra debt. You don't have a choice. Go. And I made a decision from a place of fight or flight. Of course, looking back, I'm so grateful because I learned so much. But now I'm in the place where I can share this knowledge with you. Learning how to bring your body back to calm. And by the way, I didn't even know I was in stress because I was living it every day. I was like that frog in boiling water. It was boiling, 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 slowly, slowly, slowly. The frog isn't even aware he's being cooked alive because that temperature of the water is slowly increasing. And that is what sets us apart as dentists. We don't even realize, because of the nature of our practice, because of the nature of what we hold so dear about ourselves, which is our hardworking tendency, because of our ability to persevere and push through, even if we're sick, even if we're sad, even if something terrible has happened, we show up anyway. That water starts to boil around us. We don't even realize the state of stress that we're in. Learning how to rediscover that calm on demand is key. And I'm talking about in the middle of your practice when all hell is breaking loose, when your suction machine craps out, when one of your patients yells at your front desk, when you read a horrendous Google review, when your lead assistant gives her 2-week notice. Each of those absolutely triggering events, how do you find calm and clarity in your body the moment you want to run? That is a superpower, and it's within your reach. It's not that difficult. It is easy. It is so easy, but it starts with a choice. And by the way, as I'm going through these 3 things, I want to let you know that this is exactly why I created the Empower Her Retreat, because I care so deeply for the colleagues that I've worked with my entire career, 25 years, that I see these incredible women who are so capable, who have so much available to them, so much opportunity, and they've painted themselves into this tiny little corner and feel like they have no choice. And that's why I created the Empower Her Retreat. So I have a few more slots. I think I have 3 more slots in this April's Empower Her Retreat. It's happening April 10th through 13th, 2025. It's right around the corner, but I have 3 spots left. And these 3 components that I'm talking about today are exactly what we're talking about at the retreat, to empower you to get back into trusting yourself. Trusting what you want in your life, because you came into this profession because you wanted freedom. There were things you wanted to experience in your life. And if you're honest with yourself, you are so far from experiencing them. You're feeling trapped. And it's time you learned how to step back into your own power, because you deserve a big, beautiful life. You are taking so much care of the people around you. You are literally putting smiles on children's faces. Is there anything more beautiful? You are creating jobs for hundreds of women, supporting them and their families. How beautiful is this incredible choice that you've made? Oh, we just need to get you back to discovering the power you have over your own life, the choices you get to make and that you deserve to make. That's what the Empower Her Retreat is all about. So I'm leaving a link in the show notes, but I'm also going to tell you, you can go to empowerherretreat.org, www.empowerherretreat.org. And if you can't find it for any reason, go to my Instagram or my Facebook page. It's in the links all over at drtarrynmccarthy.com or thebizofhappiness.com. You can go to the website, thebizofhappiness.com. But if you're interested in this retreat, let me know. And if you want to chat with me and we can just see if this is right for you, let me know. But I'm telling you, you deserve more. More freedom, more choice, and more autonomy. And it's all available to you. The third component, I promised you there were 3, and that is your limiting beliefs are not real. They're not. The stories you tell yourself, and those stories have been fed to us from a million places. I know. They might even have started in your childhood. Maybe you started out in your childhood and something happened where you felt like you were not good enough. Maybe you felt like you weren't good enough in dentistry. Maybe now you're feeling like you're not a good enough leader. Maybe you feel like you're not good enough with money. Maybe you feel like you're not good enough with communication. But what I have found time and time again is that it all comes down to this one central wounding of feeling not good enough. And that limiting belief is not true. So what we do at the Empower Her Retreat is identify what that is and then shift it for you. Allow you to recognize that it was never true about you. That actually you are so worthy and so capable of anything you put your mind to. You've already proven it in your life. If you look back over your life, you would recognize, oh my gosh, anything I put my mind to, I accomplished. So why would it ever be true that you're not capable of accomplishing this beautiful life? And I mean life, not just career. Your career should be serving your life, not the other way around. And that is where we find ourselves all too often as women in dentistry, is that our lives end up serving our careers. Our lives end up serving our practice. Our lives end up serving our patients. And it does not have to be that way. You actually get to choose. And here's one more little bonus that I'm going to share with you today. You get to change your mind. What? Please hear that again. It doesn't matter what choice you've made in your life. You get to change your mind, even if it means changing your mind about the career you're in. I know your mind is racing right now saying, but I have so much debt and there are no other professions out there that have the same ability to earn money to pay off that debt. I hear you, and I am still promising you this truth. You get to change your mind. You get to change your mind at any point in time. Your past does not define you. Your past decisions do not define your future choices. And once you realize that, the whole world opens up to you. I want to just conclude this episode today because I want you to feel the power that you have inside of you. So I want to just conclude it with reminding you of the incredible things you've already accomplished, the incredible challenges you've already risen to. You're still standing. And that actually, when you look back, you realize how much power you had all along, whether you realized it at the time or not. And when you made choices from a place of desire, of what your heart truly wanted, it always came true. All we need to do is get back to the clarity of what it is you want, because we get so confused over time from all the messages we get, right? Patients won't come after school, won't come during school hours, or patients won't pay that much for treatment, or insurance companies are limiting me in what I can. We get all these messages from outside. Now my question is, have you ever tried listening to the wisdom inside of you? Because that, my friend, is where all the magic lies. That's where all the magic lies. And that is what we're opening up at the Empower Her retreat. Because no one knows you like you do. No one does. No one knows what you want out of life. No one knows what you value in life. And I know right now you're sitting there maybe thinking, I don't know what I want out of life. And that's what these 3 days away, from work, 3 days away from your family, from life, where you just get to be guided and supported in creating the clarity of where you want to go. Because we can't make a blueprint unless we know the direction you're going in. So first, we need to discover the clarity, and we need to get all that noise out of the way, all the stress out of your body, all the noise from other people's opinions and other people's expectations, and get back to what matters to you. And this is what it takes. So give yourself that permission. 3 days away so that you can find the clarity of what matters to you. And here's what I promise you. When you feel good, and I mean in all components of your life, when you feel good about yourself, when you feel good in your body, when you feel good in your mind and in your heart, that's when you can do good. And when I say do good, I mean make informed, creative, empowered decisions in your life. Create new opportunities for yourself. Take care of your patients in a better way. Be a more impactful leader. Be a more present, loving mother. And live this life in a way that feels amazing. You deserve it. And I cannot wait to see you at the retreat and support you in this radical shift in your life. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Business of Happiness podcast. If this episode brought you new perspective and value, I invite you to subscribe so that you catch all upcoming episodes and leave us a review. And if you know of a friend or colleague who could benefit from this perspective, share this episode with them and empower their day. For more information about the Business of Happiness and the Radical Happiness for Practitioners course, find me on www.thebizofhappiness.com. See you there.